What is up, YouTube? Jason here, and I'm back today with another video on Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment. So, I just read yesterday part 3, chapter 5, in which finally Raskolnikov's extraordinary man theory comes to light. So, Raskolnikov is accompanying Razumihin to Porfiri, the investigating magistrate, investigating the case, the murder of Alyona and her sister. And also Zaimtov is there, the police clerk. They're both there. I believe it's at Porfiri's apartment or his dwelling, right? And Raskolnikov, along with Razumihin, they're going there to try to get back, try to recover the previously pawned items of Raskolnikov, the things that hold sentimental value to him and his family. I believe his father's watch or something, and perhaps something else. But anyway, the entire time Porfiri is using psychological manipulation and also trying to get a gauge of Raskolnikov and who he is, and asking himself the question, is he somebody capable of committing such a crime? And so along the way, he sets little snares and traps to try to catch Raskolnikov up in a lie, but also to reveal more about his character. He wants him to stay and to talk as long as possible. And just, happenstance, out of happenstance, it just so happens that Raskolnikov had an essay published unbeknownst to him about the extraordinary man theory, right? Well, really, it was an analysis of criminals, perpetrators of crime, either before and after, or just analysis of crime, right? And so Raskolnikov notes that something of interest is usually illness follows the committing of a crime. Okay, well, what happened to Raskolnikov? He fell ill. He fell into a delirium. So that fits the bill. The other thing, the driving point is, in this theory of Raskolnikov's, is that he views humanity as divided into two sects, right? Two groups. And along these groups there are a multitude of subdivisions, but mainly there are two groups: the ordinary men, the servile men. This is, their vocation is to serve, and they take pride in it. They're mainly law-abiding, and they're followers, right? And then you have the extraordinary men, the men who possess enough talent and enough gumption to transgress law and to utter a new word. These are your geniuses. These are your Napoleons, your Sir Isaac Newtons. Raskolnikov also lists some other men. You would imagine Jesus, right? And so, and it's not that, and so they transgress against ancient law to bring about change, right? And Raskolnikov says something to the effect of, they are tried, and people come after them during the present, but it is the future who takes their word and who follows their word. So they are speaking, these extraordinary men, they are speaking to the future. They are speaking to future generations. And I wish I remember, he says something to the effect of, let me find it. Okay, yes. I simply hinted that an extraordinary man has the right. That is, not an official right, but an inner right to decide in his own conscience, to overstep certain obstacles, and only in case it is essential for the practical fulfillment of his idea. Right. Sometimes perhaps of benefit to the whole of humanity. So it's not that he is, bloodshed is sanctioned by the government, although it may be in time. but it's that he has this inner right to decide if, the transgression against certain morals, like the transcending of certain morals in pursuit of an idea, is justified or not. And if it is justified, perhaps it is because he wishes to do something for the greater good, even though to commit some crime and usher in some chaos in the present, or to cause some bloodshed for a few, but to do better, to make a situation better for the many, right? So you have some sort of like utilitarian ideals, I guess, but intertwined in there. But yeah, Raskolnikov gets at like, Newton, would he have been justified if for his ideas to get out, like if he had to kill one man or two or a dozen or 100 or 1,000, like this, for his ideas to propagate and to spread, would this have been okay if bloodshed was necessary? And Raskolnikov believes, well, it is justified because it happens all the time. And what I guess what I am wondering, right? Does this apply? Right? Is this true? Does this hold some truth to it? Does his theory hold? Is there is it based in reality? And I would say certainly it is. You see men, and certainly the government is just an extension of those in power, right? So the government is still composed. We think of the government as like a body, or it's hard to, unless you're thinking about the president or other like, people sitting at the top, other people holding positions of power. It's hard to put a face to the term government. One face, at least, right? Unless it's a tyrannical government, then it quite literally is one face. And it's sad to say, but it seems as though that's the way the U.S. is heading. But I'm not going to get into too much of that, into too much of our government. Right? But does Raskolnikov's theory hold some basis in reality? Well, I think so. I think that there are, whether you want to call them extraordinary or great leaders, right? And they essentially get a monopoly on the power structure, right? So they wield just extreme amounts of power over the general populace. And in doing so, they are able to transgress law in ways that the common man would not be able to, right? If we as regular citizens went around arresting the police force or whoever because we deemed them as essentially a murderous gang, right? And I'm not trying to incite any of this. I'm just using this as a hypothetical, right? But if we did this and we said, well, we're going to deport you to El Salvador or to wherever, to Mexico, because we deem you a murderous gang, and we're developing an agency, it's called heat, right? Because the opposite of ice. It's called lava, whatever you want to call it, right? Whatever. I don't even know what ICE stands for. I should educate myself on that. I would imagine something, immigration, something. But we know what ICE does, right? So they find illegal aliens. They, regardless of whether they're law-abiding or not, you're ordinary people, and that may be here illegally. And I'm not saying that the border, illegal immigration is not a problem, but the way that ICE is carrying this out certainly strips people of their just their human rights, right? It's a violation of human rights. It feels very much so like a violation of human rights and stripping people of their humanity, because the ends justify the means, right? So there you have an example of the extraordinary man, the person sitting at the top, sitting at the top seat of power, the king, right? Whoever. This would also be Kim Jong-un in North Korea, Stalin in the Soviet Union, Mao in communist China. These extraordinary men capable of uttering a new word and setting order, their ideals, setting them forth and setting them as law. And even if they transgress that law, they go against that law, it's justified because they hold all the power, and therefore are the extraordinary men. Hitler, Mussolini, whomever, right? And also, we could also look at celebrities as the extraordinary people. O.J. Simpson, he was acquitted, right? And whether that was a reaction to, a reaction from the jury due to just racism and police brutality going on in the country during that time. But anyway, what I'm saying is he could afford the lawyers, and you also have public outcry, and you have public reach that certainly influences the judicial process. So you have these people, something, you compare someone like whomever, right? You compare someone like, well, A$AP Rocky was just, I believe, acquitted. P. Diddy, right? He only was found guilty on the lesser charges in the trial. He was acquitted of perhaps sex trafficking and racketeering. So the charges that would have, got him serious, would have really garnered this conviction of many years. He was found innocent on. And we compare him to somebody, that has no popularity, has no image in the public sphere, and can't afford and doesn't have the finances to afford great attorneys, powerful attorneys. Are they going to be acquitted of the same crimes? We can't act like these things do not influence cases and the judicial process, right? So, in law and order, it's just a fact of the matter. Raskolnikov's theory is quite interesting. The thing is, he assumes this theory when he is still a complete and utter nobody. He holds no value in the. He's a failed law student. He's poor. He may be good looking, but he doesn't have much going for him, and he thinks his intellect is enough to transcend morals. Well, it's not. And I'm not saying anybody. The problem with this theory is no, everybody should be on the same playing field, right? We don't want equality, we want equity. Equity versus equality. Everybody should be on the same playing field to some degree in terms of you're never going to erase wealth inequality and things like that. Even though I certainly agree that it's outrageous in this country. You have 1% making the decisions and for the 99% and holding the majority of wealth. One man holds more wealth in stock and just in liquidity than in entire generations, entire bloodlines, and that's a problem, right? They hold monopolies on businesses, and in doing so, they're able to form special interest groups and lobby for certain laws to be passed that benefit their businesses and their business ventures. And these would be your extraordinary men, right? Capable of uttering a new word. Um, it's a problem because while such a theory shouldn't exist, or be able to propagate, right? Everybody should have sort of the same unalienable rights and the same right to due process in this country. But it's simply not the case. It's not, it's just, you have to be somebody to get somewhere, essentially, or you have to know somebody to get somewhere. Not always. I mean, that's, certainly hard work and dedication and et cetera, and talent does get you so far, and that will put you in the room with those somebodies. But you still have to be willing to converse with those somebodies to eventually become somebody, right? You can't. What I'm saying is you can't do it without them. Yeah, I mean, the internet has made it so that maybe to a certain extent you can be independent because the internet, it's a great thing about the internet, but I wouldn't be surprised, and you already see big corporations eventually will control and regulate the internet, right? And you're not going to have as much freedom on the internet as once was before. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of wonder, share my like reaction to the question of whether Raskolnikov's extraordinary man theory holds some basis in reality, and I believe it does. The problem with Raskolnikov is he takes this to sanction murder. And that's the problem with other people. Many people who commit crimes, they will find justifications. Not everybody. Some people are just sick. They know what they're doing is wrong, but they do it anyway. You also have that. But there is still usually some type of justification in it. Well, I've been transgressed upon. People have spit in my face, so I'm not only going to spit back, but I'm going to lash out violently. And this is what you see with Raskolnikov in some sense, but you also see justifications found in his extraordinary man theory that sanctions the double homicide for the supposed greater good of St. Petersburg, the people who aren't being taken advantage of by this unscrupulous pawnbroker, Alyona Ivanova. So, yeah, his extraordinary man theory, I think it's worth delving deeper into that theory, and I may do so to produce like a proper analysis of it. So yeah, just keep on the lookout for that. But thank you guys, and I'll see you later.